Welcome to another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm your host, Michael, and normal co-host is Ken is not with us right now, so joining me live is our special guest, Bruce. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing good. For those who are new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a YouTube show / blog / podcast that discusses all things boxing. Our motto is, when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. There are two main places you can go to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. You can go to the blog page, and the link for that is p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. Let me repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. You can also go to the podcast page, and the link for that is p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. Let me repeat that, p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. On the blog page, you can find not only links to past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report YouTube show and podcast, you can also find blogs written by yours truly. On the podcast page, you can find all past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report on both pages. You can find links to where to find us all over social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Google+, on Twitter, on Podomatic. We got a Pinterest board, the RSS feed. Be a friend and subscribe to that. We're also now on Stitcher Radio. Check us out on Stitcher Radio. Just go to do a boxing search or type in Pound for Pound Boxing Report, POUND, the number 4, POUND Boxing Report, and check us out there. And please leave us a review and tell us what you think about the show. You also got a link to where you can donate your account. The address for that is donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. We'll repeat that, donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy, and donate your Twitter account. And what happens is, anytime we send out a tweet from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter account will be able to retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. With all those pressing matters out the way, let's get the show started tonight, Bruce, and do a recap of what happened in boxing this past week and this past weekend. The big bout, of course, is Kell Brook getting his long-awaited title shot against IBF Welterweight champion Shawn Porter. Brook coming through with the decision, unanimous decision to win the title, 117, 111 on one card, 116, 112 on the other card. I'm sorry, it was a majority decision. I'm just giving a majority decision for Brook. The third card was a draw, 114, 114. Porter came into the fight on a roll, Bruce, and early on, he kind of roughed Kell Brook up, going to the body, roughhousing him a little bit. But from my perspective, and I want your opinion on this, from round 6, 7 on, to me, after 6 rounds, it was even, maybe 1 point in Brook's favor on my card, but close fight. But from round 7 on, 6, 7 on, it was all Brook as he kind of found his bearing. He's kind of set down on his punches, used the jabs to real good effect, did a really good job of counterpunching. And to me, Porter got tired. He seemed to fight. He seemed like a one-trick pony, looking for the knockout early on. But after he didn't find the knockout, it was like he had no backup plan. Your thoughts on the fight, Bruce?
First off, I want to start off by saying this is an extremely biased statement I'm about to make, because anyone who knows me knows I don't like Shawn Porter. But Shawn Porter bag of tricks didn't work. They didn't work early. He ran into Brook one time and he tried to muscle him around. I mean, Brook effortlessly just like, nah, this is not going to happen. So I knew it was going to be a long night for Shawn Porter. The one thing I didn't like about Brook is Brook was kind of conservative with his punches. He would throw the right hand and kind of fall in and let Shawn Porter land some body shots. You're right. You're correct. Later on, Shawn Porter started to get extremely tired. He started getting hit more, and it looked like Brook was just edging out the rounds. Man, I thought Brook took it. As far as Shawn Porter being on the road coming into the fight, he realistically beat one tough person. He beat Paulie, who was basically all but retired, and we knew he was going to win that fight. We just didn't know how. So. I don't know. You take it with a grain of salt. It was a close fight. I can see the outrage and people thinking that Porter won, but I think Brook edged it out because Shawn got tired, and he's always been one-dimensional to me, personally.
a lot of people in watching this fight, and I want to thank Chris Caban for joining us. What's going on, Chris?
How you doing? How y'all
Hanging
What's going
doing?
on, man?
hanging in there, man, hanging in there. And I'll get you in the discussion as well. But I'm actually a follow-up question, Bruce, and you can chime in as well, Chris. A lot of people looked at like Bruce just left, stepped out for a minute. So I'll go to you on this one, Chris. We're talking about Kell Brook's win over Shawn Porter to win the IBF Welterweight title this past weekend. A lot of people had their suspicions about Kell Brook based on his first fight against Carson Jones when, for the first time, he got roughed up and he fought. Jones gave him a physical style, which, quite honestly, Brook didn't really handle well. And they thought that you put him in a fight with this. You thought in a fight with this that when put under pressure in his first title shot that he wouldn't handle the occasion well again, but turned out he did. Speak on that and speak on the fact that it seemed that Brook learned a whole lot from his first fight with Carson Jones, and he really applied it into this fight with Shawn Porter in the second half of the fight.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what you said. I mean, he learned from it. That's what he was supposed to do. When you have a loss on your record, or when you go through some sort of adversity, and that's basically exposing the chinks in your armor. That's what you strengthen when you go into these training camps, And I think Brook definitely worked on that. He was able to nullify getting roughed up in the inside with a simple clinch, just using his strength and holding on to Shawn. I mean, the clinches may have been excessive, but the referee allowed it. So I think he learned a lot. And I think Shawn Porter learned from the Diaz, the Diaz draw. So it's just something that happens, man. As a boxer, you're supposed to learn coming up through the ranks. When you fight a tough fight, you're supposed to learn and sharpen your swords and get a little more defensively sound. So, I think it was inevitable that he was going to get better. Either he was going to let that event, destroy his career, or he was going to use that event to strengthen his career. And I think he chose the latter.
Your thoughts, Chris?
I think he got better for the. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think he got a lot better from the Carson Jones fight because that's what I thought Shawn Porter was. I watched that Carson Jones fight. I thought Shawn Porter was going to do him worse than Carson Jones. So I picked Porter to win, and it seemed like he timed Porter with a jab, and he counter punched, and he tried. He know when to clinch him. He did better in this fight. I think he just outboxed him. He had Porter's number. It wasn't nothing Porter could do.
I know Shawn Porter was talking about how he wanted a rematch after the fight, and I'm sorry, fellas. I look at this and I know Porter. He didn't show the same form that he did against Alexander and Malignaggi. With that being said, I see a possible rematch between the two. If it'll happen, I highly doubt if it will. I think Kell Brook not only beats him, but beats him easier this time. It may knock him out because remember, fellas, later on, I think in round 11, he hurt, as far as I'm concerned, he hurt Porter with some shots. And if that would have been a 15-round fight, given the fatigue and whatnot, he may have possibly knocked Shawn Porter out.
Yeah.
I must say, yeah, the Alexander fight, though, Alexander was a smaller dude. I mean, Brook is bigger than Paulie Malignaggi and Alexander, so he wasn't beating up a former 140-pounder this time. He was in there with somebody just as big as he was or bigger. Because we interviewed Chop Corley. Brook runs around at 150 to 165. He's a big dude, so he can't bully Brook like he did Alexander and Malignaggi. Wasn't going to happen.
I'll go to you on this one, Bruce. We talked about the future of a possible rematch, which I don't think it will happen. But what a lot of folks talking about in the aftermath of this fight is a possible fight between Kell Brook and Amir Khan in an all-British showdown. I know a lot of folks. I know a friend of the show, Natty Turner, the Black Bird Sugar himself. He posted a video saying that he would like to see a fight between Brook and Keith Thurman, who has the WBA strap at 147. Um, Talk about the future of Kell Brook coming up. I can see the talk. I can see why folks think Thurman wants to fight, and to me, I think Thurman is more deserving than Amir Khan. But this is boxing, and money matters. It's about the dollar. And for me, I think Thurman is going to be frozen out here, and I'm looking at this time next year, 2015, and seeing a Brook Khan showdown over in England.
That's possible. I think if he's smart, he'll take the Khan fight over Keith Thurman. Regardless to what Khan has accomplished at welterweight, he's a more decorated fighter than Keith Thurman. You know, he's a better person to have on your resume, especially given, you know, that they're from the same country and he get to prove who the best is over in that country. I think it's a much better fight to accept Khan right now. Now, I would much rather see Thurman just to see where Thurman is and see where he's going, but I'm pretty sure if that fight presents itself, he's going to take the Amir Khan fight.
Joining us right now live from Taiwan is Shawn Newton. What's going on, Shawn?
What's up, man?
I'm going to bring you into this discussion. We're discussing Kell Brook's win over Shawn Porter last weekend to win the IBF welterweight belt. And I will get the question to you, follow the future of Amir Khan. A lot of talk about him, futures Kell Brook, excuse me. A lot of people are talking about him fighting Amir Khan in a big fight next year. I know some folks are arguing that he should fight Keith Thurman is more deserving of the shot. Your thoughts on what's coming up for Kell Brook? I say I can understand Thurman. I think he's more deserving. It's my opinion. But in boxing, money talks. And Khan, to me, he's going to get the fight. He's going to get the next big fight with Kell Brook. After Kell Brook presumably fights at the end of this year and probably fights a mandatory early next year. Let's face it. We're going to see a Brook Khan showdown in England.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of talk has been going on that Marquez wanted to fight because, of course, he's been looking for the 147 title. I mean, that would be a good fight for Brook. I think styles match up well, and we would see what happens there. As far as Khan Thurman, I mean, you know, everybody recognizes Thurman is a dangerous fighter, but he doesn't bring anything to the table at this point. Probably the best fight for him would be a fight with Porter, who coming off this loss sort of needs to reestablish himself. And people were crying for that fight for a long time. Now is the opportunity. And the winner of that will totally establish himself and be able to call probably whatever champion he wants with a lot more sort of authority behind him. At this point, Thurman, you know, he's sitting around, he's injured. His last fight was, you know, he won it convincingly, but it wasn't great to watch because it was over so fast. It was a body shot that, you know, apparently really hurt the guy, but I mean, it was sort of all, you know, oh, okay, it's done. But I mean, Khan, you know, that fight is something people have been talking about for a long time just because the natural rivalry between the two UK guys, and Khan always dismissed him for a long time, but now he can't dismiss him because he has the title. So, I mean, in England, that's a huge fight. I mean, it will be as big as Froch and Groves, and internationally it will be big because, of course, they're both renowned fighters, and I mean Brooks now is a champion, and Khan has fought in the States for quite a few years. So I mean he's known. So
go ahead, Shawn.
I mean I think, you know, Khan is the more natural fight than the Thurman fight. I think Thurman still needs that big fight, that one that really makes his name, and I think that would be a good Porter fight.
Before we move on to talk other boxing, your thoughts on this, Chris?
I think Khan to get the fight. He got a bigger name, and they could sell out the Wembley Stadium. Yeah, I think they could do better than Froch and Groves, actually. So I think he'll get the fight. Thurman, I would rather see Thurman like you, but I think Khan is going to get that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on and talk other fights because this fight was a main event of a triple header, live triple header on Showtime. On the undercard, one of the fights on the undercard was Anthony Dirrell fighting a rematch against Sakio Bika for the WBC Super Middleweight bout. The first fight between Dirrell and Bika turned out to be a draw. And I'll go to you on this one, Chris, because we watched it live together on another show. In the rematch, Dirrell, as far as I'm concerned, decisively beat Bika to win the Super Middleweight belt. Scores, now look it up right quick. The scores were 117, 110, 116, 111, 114, 113. Unanimous decision win for Dirrell. And as I said, I'll go see one from Chris. To me, a lot of people looked at this bout and saw it as boring and tough to watch, but to me, I enjoyed what I saw because I was very impressed with Dirrell, how he adjusted from the first fight to the second fight. My eyes must have been slipping on me or something because to look at him at the second fight, I just couldn't believe the size of Dirrell. He looked like a full-fledged light heavyweight against Bika, a guy who's pretty ripped and pretty big himself. And I love the way Dirrell stood in the pocket. I love the way he pot-shotted and counterpunched. I love the way he went to the body, especially particularly with the jab. For me, this was the best performance of Anthony Dirrell's career.
I agree. I think he timed him well because Bika was coming in with them wild rushes, and he just held his ground, and he timed him coming in. And I think he fights better than his brother. He don't run as much as Andre. He stands in the pocket and fights more. Anthony does. And I'm glad.
I was going to say, you say he fights better. Do you think he may possibly be a better fighter? Because I don't see that.
No, I say he stands in the pocket. Andre moves more than Anthony. Yeah, but I want to see what he does next. I'm glad he got Bika out of the way. I want to see what he does next. Is he gonna fight Groves or whatever?
I know Groves is mandatory. It looks like that fight may happen not late this year, early next year. I know Shawn, you up there typing stuff in the chat here. Your thoughts? I know you said it was ugly here in the chat. Your thoughts on Dirrell's win over Bika?
You know, I thought Dirrell won the first fight, so I mean, coming into this one, I was pretty confident that he would make adjustments and be able to win. He just needed to deal with Bika's awkward, aggressive style. And I mean, the problem I thought, he should have used his jab more, and he seemed to overcommit with those right hands because he came in really wanting to KO Bika, but then he always was off balance because he was overcommitting. Whereas I thought if he just kept his punches shorter, he would have made it easy for himself. And he probably would have got the stoppage.
I'll go to you on this one, Bruce. Chris mentioned possible next opponent for Anthony Dirrell. He mentioned George Groves, who I just said was a mandatory. Should that fight happen, Bruce? Given the way George was stopped by Froch, and given the improvement of Anthony Dirrell, Groves is a good fighter. But in my opinion, I think Dirrell not only beats George Groves, I think he stops him.
I agree. I think he'll stop him. I think he has the power to stop him. George Groves definitely has the slickness, and he has some artillery as well. But I think that Dirrell will stop him. Dirrell will stand there. He'll stay calm, and I think he'll be the stopper.
I'll ask you all a question here. Coming off this win against Bika, where do you guys have Anthony Dirrell ranked within the super middleweight landscape, with a Ward, with a Froch, Abraham, Kessler, Stieglitz, Chavez Jr., who, as far as I'm concerned, is a super middleweight right now. His brother Andre. What do you have Anthony ranked with the other super middleweights in the world, with the other top super middleweights in the world? And then you guys can chime in.
Well, I think he could beat Stieglitz. I think he could probably beat Arthur Abraham, but against James DeGill, Froch, and Ward, he might have some problems against them guys.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I put him about 5th.
I have him around 7th or 8th. At this point, I mean, he fought a tough guy, but not one of the elite guys of the division. I don't even know if he would beat Kessler, who's a good fighter. I mean, at this point, he's a little old, so we don't know what he has left. But, I mean, I think Groves will beat him. I think Groves will outbox him. Because he tries to focus too much on his power, and I don't think that's going to work.
So let's move on to talk about Omar Figueroa, the fighter me and Chris like to call Tone Loc. That's for reasons. Some inside joke there amongst us, our hardcore fans. Uh, Tone Loc, aka Omar Figueroa. Look, I still don't think that much of him. I still think he's susceptible and vulnerable to getting beat. But in his fight with Daniel Estrada, ninth round stoppage, I got to give him credit here. It was the best fight of his career, the most impressive win of his career. And as far as I'm concerned, I know people will talk about that Arakawa fight. I think it's the most dramatic victory of his career. Back and forth fight, the pressure of Figueroa forced Estrada to fight. Both landed their shell punches. Figueroa, he went to town on Estrada's body. Estrada, of course, was fighting with a heavy heart, coming off of his sister and I believe his niece being killed in a car accident just a few weeks earlier. But he stayed tough, he fought tough. Dramatic moment came in round 8 where Estrada hurt Figueroa. Figueroa fought back, but in the process he was cut over his eye, I want to say his left eye, and the fight was in danger of being stopped, but Figueroa, he came back, put Estrada down with a big-time right hand in round 9. A follow-up assault ended matters. I'll go to you on this one, Chris. Your assessment of Mr. Loc, Figueroa.
I still think he might be the weakest champion at 135, and I think he done good Saturday night, but I've never been impressed by Omar Figueroa. I think as soon as he fight a top guy, he's going to lose that belt. Who's the number 1 contender again?
Well, breaking news here. Figueroa, from what I've read last night, he has relinquished that WBC lightweight belt and decided to move up to 140 pounds.
Oh, my God. He's going to get killed at 140 with the style he fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go see you on this one, Bruce. Your thoughts on Figueroa? I agree with Chris, by the way. I think he will lose to the top 140 pounders in the world. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's like he has the dog in him. He wins, but you're right. I mean, he just get that head just knocked around a lot, man. I think 140 a bad move for him. I think at least he can rely on his power at 135. 140, he's not going to be hurting those guys as easy. He'll get up there and lose a lot.
He says it's because he has issues with weight. I personally believe it's because he knows that what that mandatory is coming up. I know people think, oh, it's Jorge Linares. He doesn't have a good chin. But I'm telling you right now, if Linares were to fight Figueroa, if he did fight Figueroa, he'd box his shoes off. I go to you on this one, Shawn. Your assessment of Figueroa's win over Estrada, number 1, and secondly, with Figueroa apparently moving up to 140 pounds, your thoughts on him up against the top fighters at junior welterweight. And I look at right quick, the Garcias, the Petersons, the Algiris, the Matisses, the Provodnikovs, the Mike Alvarados of the world.
I mean, I never rated him that high, but I mean, he's still young, and his last fight, he showed something a lot of guys don't show. I mean, bad cut from ahead, he didn't let it bother him, didn't let it affect him at all. Came out the next round when his corner was trying to get the ref to stop it and go to the cards, and he went out there and stopped the guy. I mean, maybe 140 will benefit him. Maybe he'll be stronger. Maybe he'll have more energy because he's a very focused on an energy fighter, right? I mean, volume fighter, body puncher. At 140, I have him top 10, but I mean, I think a lot of it depends on the style of guy that he fights. He might have a hard time with the top echelon guys. But I mean, the mid-tier guys, I think he has a chance, and he's still young, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he develops anything. A lot of great fighters like him, not great fighters, but a lot of fighters like him, they developed later on when they found out they needed to have more skill to get to that level. So we will see.
I want to jump back to the Porter Brook fight right quick, and this kind of any of y'all can chime in. When I looked at it, just came to my head. When I look at the performance of Porter and how sloppy and how undisciplined he was, Porter is trained by his dad. I've never believed in the notion of fathers training their sons because they will only go so far. Most times it ends badly. Uh, Going forward, do you think that either it's time for Porter to find another trainer, or do you think that the Porter camp needs to bring in another body, another voice, so that Porter can improve as a fighter? And any of you guys can respond.
I'll go first. I think he definitely needs a new trainer, though. When he was working with Pacquiao in the Wild Card gym, they said Freddie Roach wanted to help him out, but his father didn't allow that to happen. So I definitely think he needs a new coach because he fight pretty amateurish. He fought amateurish Saturday night. He was sloppy, punches wasn't straight. He just looked like an amateur.
I don't think it will hurt, but I don't think he's gonna separate from his father. They seem to have a very, very close bond, so I don't know what's gonna happen with that.
A lot of father-son combinations. I mean, the fathers still were involved, but they got like an outside guy, more of a professional guy, to get in there and help clean him up a bit, right? I mean, I think in his case it would benefit him because I mean he looked pretty one-dimensional, and people talk so much about him, but I mean the last few fights he's always fought the same. He relies strictly on bullying and aggressiveness and being able to push guys around. But we saw that when he can't do that, what does he do afterwards? How does he adjust? I don't know if he's prepared for adjustments, and maybe an outside guy will help that. And just another voice, right? You know, sometimes you just get sick and tired of listening to the same person talk, and you sort of ignore them, especially in the corner during like pressured fights.
The Brook win over Porter, the Dirrell win over Bika, the Figueroa stoppage of Estrada was the televised triple header of Showtime. In that same venue in Carson, California, there were two other fights that were held on. That was shown not on Showtime, I believe, was another one of the other Showtimes. I should say, I can't remember which one exactly. As Deontay Wilder, let's face it, he has a big fight coming up with Bermane Stiverne. Anticipated to happen later on this year. He scored a 4-round tune-up win over Jason Gavern. Look, Wilder, he did what he did. Gavern, I give him credit. He fought tough. He fought hard. Actually made Wilder work a little bit, but at the end, the size, the power was too much for Gavern. Briefly talk about this fight, Shawn, and talk about the upcoming fight with Bermane Stiverne later on this year.
I think people are quick to criticize him, which, you know, is unfair because, I mean, he's still a work in progress. We all know that. And he's impressive. He shows power. And everybody would like to see an American heavyweight jump into the scene and make things exciting. And he quite possibly will be the guy. We will see. I mean, you know, you never know until after they have the fights. So it's early to criticize the guy. He's going to fight Stiverne for a championship. Stiverne's a tough guy. And it will be a great watershed test to see exactly what level he's at. He didn't look great this weekend, but, you know, I think at this point everybody knows he was just trying to stay busy, just trying to stay prepared for the big fight against a guy that wasn't really a big risk.
From you, Bruce, or Chris, your thoughts on Wilder and the upcoming fight with Stiverne?
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, BJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I think you know, he it's just a stay busy fight. He said he wasn't really trying to knock the guy out. I know we don't want to put too much stock into that, but I mean, he wasn't in there getting wobbled or anything. You know, he took a stay busy fight. He has a big fight coming up. We'll see how he performs against Stiverne. I think to judge what he done, you know, last week was a little premature because we don't know what he has in store. I don't even believe he had a full training camp for that fight. You know, that was just something he took. He wanted to stay busy. He did. And we'll see what happens. Now, even if he loses to Stiverne, we'll see where he goes, you know, the fight after that. But Wilder has the kind of power, man. I'm sorry. I don't think too many human beings can take that punch.
You have any concerns about Wilder's chin?
I've seen him get wobbled, but I've seen him get back up. even when I see him get hit by David Haye and sparring and everything else, and I know that it's the bigger gloves and everything, but I see him getting back up. And as long as he can get back up with the kind of punch that he has, it's going to be some trouble.
I agree. I think he's gonna. I think this is a stay busy fight. He just did that to stay busy, but I think he's gonna knock out Stiverne because Stiverne ain't really that impressive to me. I seen his fight with Ray Austin. I seen his fights with Areola. He's going to get hit between between the first and fourth round. He's gonna get knocked out.
I see you nodding your head over there, Shawn. You agree?
I'm sort of leaning towards. Sorry. I'm leaning towards him to get the KO. I think it's similar. I don't think Stiverne is active enough, and early on in fights he starts a little slow and he gets hit like he did in his last fight, and he was looking like he might lose the fight, even though it was only after a couple rounds, and then he landed a big shot. I mean, he's capable of landing that big shot, and at heavyweight division, people question Wilder's chin, but you know, if you get hit by one of the big boys, you're going down, and maybe you're out. That's not unusual. I mean, Klitschko early on stopped twice, right? And then he had to make adjustments and protect himself a little better. We know when you get hit by the big guys that there's a chance you're going out. That's why it's exciting and people like it. I mean, Wilder's got the power, and I agree. I think that he's going to land that shot between the first and the fourth, and we'll see what happens with Stiverne.
Final fight on this Carson card I want to talk about. Jorge Linares scoring an easy win over Ira Terry. Linares landed a beautiful right hand to put Terry down face first in matters. As we talked about earlier, Linares is the now mandatory contender for the WBC belt, apparently formerly held by Figueroa, Omar Figueroa. Figueroa has announced he's moving up to 140. I've said what I thought if Linares were to fight Figueroa. And I'll go to you on this one, Bruce. Look, I know Linares has a leaky chin. Sometimes you touch him halfway hard, he gets hurt. You touch him solid, he goes down. Am I wrong for still thinking highly of Linares? Because in spite of the issues with his chin, to me, the cat is still one of the most talented fighters in the world. I don't know 10 other fighters that has more skill or physical ability than this dude. And at 135, he can beat anybody. He can give anybody trouble in that division, and that includes Terrence Crawford in my division, in my opinion, who I believe is the best 135-pounder in the world. Am I still crazy for thinking so highly of Linares?
No, I'm going to say something that's slightly controversial.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes when you have a weakness, it becomes beneficial to you. Sort of like the Amir Khan and the Collazo situation. Collazo went in there like, I'm going to knock this guy out. And what happens when you don't? So everyone who's going to step into the ring with Linares is going to get outboxed, and they're going to be swinging for the fences. And sometimes that may work to Linares' advantage. The fact that people know that he has a leaky chin, and they're trying to tap that chin and load up on punches, and he's just putting rounds in the bank.
Your thoughts, Shawn?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I always liked Linares. His style, wow, exciting. Fast hands, crisp shots, power, good movement. But, you know, he cuts. And then he seems like somebody was talking last week on the show about he just wears out. You know, he's not really a tough guy. You know, he can break down. And that has been his issue. But when he's on and when he's fighting his fight, he looks great. So he's one of the most exciting guys at 135 for sure, and I would like to see him against anybody. And I would give him a chance against anybody. It's just we have to see how his face holds up. I mean, with him, I never thought it was his chin so much. It's just the fact that he will always cut and end up by the 8th round looking like tired and worn out. But I would love to see him in Crawford.
Your assessment of Jorge Linares, where do you see him fitting in the lightweight landscape?
Me?
Chris?
I think he could beat a lot of lightweights. I think he could beat majority. He might have some with Vasquez and Crawford. I think the other guys, he could probably beat them. And the trio, he might have trouble with them three. The other guys I think he can beat, but Abreu, Vasquez, and Crawford, I don't know yet.
I see Errol. I think Errol of EJ Boxing Live is trying to join us. You there, Errol?
I think he's muted.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, good. Joining us live is Errol from EJ Boxing Live. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing, man? PJ, Chris Caban, Sean Newton causing trouble over there, and Michael. How you doing, boys?
Wow, man.
I'll do a quick recap of what we've been talking about. You can go quickly on this. Your thoughts on Kell Brook's win over Porter and the prospect of him fighting Amir Khan?
Yeah, man. Amir Khan, I mean, Kell Brook put on a great performance, and the prospect for him to fight thing, hopefully that should be in the summertime. I heard from Eddie Hearn, and Kell Brook's next opponent, next time he's going to be fighting is definitely this going to be Sheffield, December the 6th. Eddie Hearn's already said that, and that's going to be they're looking at Brandon Rios, so they're looking against so-called Carras. So that's these fights on the line, and you look, Kell Brook's performance, yeah, just shocked me, man. It shocked the boxing world. No one thought he could do that. He stepped it up and done his thing. I was very impressed by it, man. I was very impressed by Kell Brook, and he's put himself in to be one of the most lucrative stars right now because of what he demands. Also, the money that came out about the views of how the ratings done with the Porter and Brook, they didn't do that well. They didn't do that well. They didn't do as well as they expected. I don't know if that's on Porter's end, whatever. But over here in the UK, Porter, Brook's in for some big fights. Either like I said, the Khan fight, and he's got some other fights. Prospects obviously fighting in America. So things look bright, man. Things look bright for Kell Brook. He's gonna have to wear some shades, boy. So
Was wrongly picked Bika to win the rematch over Dirrell. Anthony Dirrell, as far as I'm concerned, fought very good, terrific fight as far as I'm concerned. Quickly, in the aftermath, because we both watched it live, your assessment of Anthony Dirrell's win over Bika?
Yeah, Anthony Dirrell's a big player right there. Right now, right now, like he's become a champion. Now he has to cement himself. Right now, be a champion. And I'll tell you what, mate. The way his performance was, he looked calm, cool, collective, and I'll tell you what, mate. He's gonna cause some trouble down there. He's a problem for a lot of guys at 168. So right now, I just want to see who's his next opponent right now. But right now, he's celebrating. You know, remember like Danny Jacobs or whatever, cancer survivor, and you know, so he's probably there celebrating. So I'd like to see who he fights. But I was impressed, man. I was impressed. I had Bika winning that fight. So you know what I'm saying? It was impressive, man.
Nobody's a writer like Omar Figueroa than you. Your thoughts on Figueroa's stoppage over Daniel Estrada?
Omar done his thing, man. Omar shows what Omar's about, man. Like, come up with a massive cut in the center of his forehead and to come back to knock the guy out. That was impressive, man. Because I didn't know too much about the opponent too much, but the opponent, Chris knew the opponent. Chris picked him to win. So, yeah, man.
I picked everybody against Figueroa.
I know you did. He lost, yeah, I know. But Chris really done his good research, and I respect Chris's opinion on it. So I thought Chris thought he could lose, but Omar came out, man. Omar came out and just put on a great patrol, like fight of the night for Omar Figueroa. That was the most entertaining fight, and to cause the knockout, we got people in the UK looking at that guy saying, well, that guy's all right. He's all right. Not necessarily looking at him pleasing the way he's not like he wasn't entertaining, but style, the way he fights, he hit a lot. But man, that was impressive. And Omar's my guy. I will roll with Omar Figueroa all day. I don't care anyone shitting Omar, man. I'm gonna back Omar all day.
You go ahead, back fucking Medina tongue low. Your thoughts on Deontay Wilder, his win, and his upcoming fight with Stiverne. And am I crazy to still think highly of Jorge Linares?
Jorge Linares is nice, man. Like right now, it's a shame that like he was supposed to fight. Talking about Jorge Linares, he was ashamed that he's not gonna fight Figueroa. Figueroa said he's gonna move up. I don't know if that's because he's gonna fight Linares. That was supposed to be the next fight, but he looks nice, man, and it looks like he's gonna be a player in the division. But you know, greatness, you need to rub against some great fighters. So if he wouldn't get, obviously he wouldn't get Figueroa, it would have been something. But he's gonna have to find another dance partner. And same with Deontay Wilder, he needs a dance partner. And that's how greatness is measured on. So when he goes in against Stiverne, is that going to be a dance partner, or is it going to be a one-round knockout, or is he going to be exposed? All the questions will be asked on the fight of the night when that happens. So we have to wait and see. But I got Deontay Wilder as blatantly, and I've said it from day. That guy is the best. Like I study heavyweight fighters, and I tell you what, man, he's up there, right? He's up there, one of the toughest. Just because his speed of movement right now, I don't see anyone touching him. But end of the day, yeah, he has to be the acid test is Stiverne. If he beats Stiverne in his impressive fashion, the whole boxing world's got to take note. If he gets exposed, then that's another thing. But we're gonna find out. But for me, I'm backing Deontay Wilder.
I'll go to you on this one, Chris. Going to the boxing news segment of the show. Only one real news event of the weekend. It's a pretty big news, stunning as far as I'm concerned. On Sunday, Jay-Z's Roc Nation Sports news broke that they won the purse bid for the WBO middleweight upcoming title bout between champion Peter Quillin and Korobov, outbidding Golden Boy and Top Rank to win that fight. Looks like they're trying to air the bout in November, either in New York or in D.C. What was stunning was, number one, that Roc Nation, they don't have any fighters on their roster. Number two, their bid was $1.9 million, which beat the combined bid of both Golden Boy and Top Rank. Golden Boy bid $1.2 million for the fight. Top Rank bid $500,000. Your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on what is considered, to me, a big power move here by Roc Nation Sports, as they didn't just step in the boxing landscape. They stomped in the boxing landscape, leaped in and stomped in there with both feet, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. I want like to. Yeah, they outbidded Golden Boy and Top Rank, but I want to see where they go after this. I don't want to be like SMS Promotions.
Your thoughts on the move by Roc Nation Sports, Shawn, in terms of winning this bid for Quillin Korobov?
It'll be interesting to see what Jay-Z does. I mean, you know, I expect him to handle his business better than 50 did. And it'll be nice to have another player in. Just, you know, more promoters, more chance of big fights. So I think it's a win-win for everybody as long as Jay-Z stays consistent. I mean, business-wise, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's got into everything, and he's seemed to be successful in everything that he went into. So,
you know, I'll go to you on this one, Errol. Shawn mentioned 50 Cent. I sincerely hope that Roc Nation Sports did their due diligence, and given the fact they don't have any current fighters on the stable, given your insight in the sport, have you heard of any fighters that they're looking out for, that they're looking to try to sign?
I heard there's been news, yeah, and this is that a great fight. I'm just like putting it out there. Like the reason why Al Herman has signed so many fighters, because you heard Jay-Z was coming into the thing. Have you noticed Al Herman be signing everything possible? So the reason why he's been doing that is getting people, I'll say he's the advisor, because you heard Jay-Z, another player was coming into the game like a Jay-Z. So right now, Jay-Z obviously he's gonna be trying to find, but if he puts, like, he's already won the purse, but that's already a major marker in itself, and obviously he part owner of the Nets. The Nets over in Brooklyn. So he's got Korobov, the guy who owns the Barclays Center. So he's gonna put on some good fights, and if he can get some good fighters over there, like Kid Quillin, try to market the New York thing, it's gonna be a great thing, man. You know, hip hop and boxing, they go together hand in hand, boy. So it's a great move, and we can see that he can try and make it more accessible and more mainstream of what boxing needs. Boxing needs that mainstream. Jay-Z can bring that, so it's good. But basically, Al Heyman, that's what Al Heyman, he signed everything inside because they knew that Jay-Z was already thinking about doing this already. And Jay-Z's already under his, I think under his agency, he's got Kevin Durant and some other baseball players around, and he's already making them the max money. So he's going to try and do that for the boxers as well. Like Al Heyman, because no one's got a bad word. All the fighters have got a bad word to say about Heyman. He makes the money. So we'll see how with Jay-Z and that goes on. And yeah, we'll see what happens there.
I know this is the first step for Roc Nation Sports, but if they've done their homework, and if they can sign some fighters, and any of you guys can chime in on this one, on this question coming up, how far do you think they can go? As we all know, the two big promotional arms here in the States at least are Golden Boy and Top Rank. Still, do you think that Roc Nation Sports, do you think they potentially can challenge Golden Boy and Top Rank? Yeah, anybody can answer.
Possibly, but as of right now, no. I got to see what they do before I even. Top Rank been around since the 70s.
I'm thinking maybe if things go right and if they hang in this, maybe in the next 3-5 years.
We'll see.
I'm not too sure about that. What I'm sure about is that you need the best fighters in the world, and Golden Boy over there have Floyd Mayweather. So it'd be great if Jay-Z could sign Guerrero Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux, Andre Ward, signing that. Andre Ward's got legal problems, bad boy. So,
but given what Jay-Z's done in Major League Baseball, NBA, and I think he's signed some pretty good players, some major players in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
I think the potential, and given the status and the star that is JC, him being the face of the operation, I think the potential is there for him to sign maybe in the next 3-5 years some of the top fighters in the world.
Yeah, that's
true. Moves here.
That's true, but the thing is, yeah, like star power, like Mayweather, the most lucrative division in boxing is the welterweight division. It's locked up with Golden Boy and Top Rank. That's the most lucrative division. So even Rigondeaux's division, no one really wants to fight him. So it's not easy. It's when Mayweather possibly leaves the division, then maybe we're seeing it. Mayweather and Pacquiao leave the division. But right now, it's going to take a while until them guys get moved on, and then we have to find another star. But as it now for the next 2 years, 3 years, I say no. Maybe possibly maybe 5 years. Depends how long he's gonna stick around. He might be doing this for the, just doing it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long he's gonna stay around for. 58 is doing too well at the minute, so we'll see.
Your thoughts, Shawn?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's gonna obviously be a transition, but like you were saying, he's pretty connected, and in other sports, things that he's went into, he's shown some aggressiveness and the willingness to sign the big names, which is what he's going to need to do, right? He needs the big marquee name to sort of push his promotion. And like he was saying that, once Floyd leaves and Manny leaves, it's going to be a new opening for a new star, somebody else to push boxing forward. And why not have Jay-Z represent you?
Now, see, Bruce and Chris has left us for the time being. Hopefully, they'll be right back. A new news event I just thought of as you were talking. Errol, and I'll go to you on this one. News broke yesterday that Andre Ward lost in court again to Dan Goossen. At this point, he's lost 3 times now to Dan Goossen in court cases trying to break free from his contract. What do you think Ward should do? I think that Ward, at this point, he hasn't beat him in 3 opportunities. I just don't think he's going to beat him in court again. I just think that that right now, if I was Ward, I would just go ahead and fight out the contract with Dan Goossen and then maybe move on to something bigger. Ward, he seems to be too much of a fighter in him, too much Oakland in him, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think he should do next?
It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter until he gets in the ring. And to be honest with you, our affairs, should only concern in the ring. I know we know about this stuff, yeah, but we know there's nothing wrong with him. So he could fight if he wants to. It's something he feels like he's passionate about, and I'm not concerned. Of boxing, there's so much other things in boxing that we can be concerned about. Andre Ward, like if he has these business and he doesn't want to get in the ring, the only thing that's affecting him is him and his jeopardy. When he gets in the ring rust and everything. He's still number 2 pound for pound, by the way, and still the number 1 guy in the 168 division. But he's letting fights go by, and that's on him, man. He that's his decision. So to be honest with you, I don't really care. To be honest with you, whichever way he wants to do, like if he was staying court, fine. He gets back in the ring, then I'll watch him. But to me, the whole situation is annoying. And to be honest with you, like I'll just focus on something else. To be honest with you, it's not really whatever he decides. Unless you don't get back in the ring, I don't really want to know. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The key word you said, things are going to keep moving, and that's the key because Froch, he had the win over Groves, big fight over in UK, made a whole lot of money. You got Anthony Dirrell, he just won a world title. Andre Dirrell, he's coming back on the scene. You got Hopkins and Shumanov fighting in a big division above at 175 pounds. You got Triple G doing his thing at 168. So while he's sitting here idle, the division, his division, and the divisions above and below him where he can seek potential fights, they're moving right along. And I'll go to you on this one, Shawn. Look, is it a case where Ward's pride is getting the best of him, and he should maybe look, pride is a good thing, particularly in the ring, and you shouldn't concede defeat in a sense to nobody, and you should fight for what you believe in, but at this point in time, to piggyback on what Errol said, all the stuff outside the ring doesn't really matter. He really needs to get back in the ring or his legacy may be hurt here.
Yeah, and I mean, not just that, but just financially. I mean, these are his prime years, and he's wasting them arguing over a contract that he signed, and it's not like he's just going through the first step. Like you said, this is the 3rd time he's lost in court. So at this point, I think you need to realize that the only way you're moving on is if you give the promoter the fights that you're guaranteed and move on and then be smarter in your next contract. You know, like if you look at Bernard Hopkins, he was always hard to deal with, and he wouldn't take this and that, and he pushed and gave up fights until he got the power and the opportunity to do what he wanted. But at a certain point, you need to build that. I mean, right now, Ward is sort of, he needs good fights, good wins. Floyd's going to retire. He'll become the #1 guy in boxing as far as pound-for-pound consideration goes. His contract will be up, and then he'll be a free agent, and then he can sign with somebody, get a better contract, get guaranteed money, get the endorsements, and move forward from there. But I mean, what he's doing now, he's becoming, in the boxing circle, a bit of a joke. A lot of criticism thrown towards him, that he's just wasting his time, he's overrated, he doesn't deserve to be there because he's not busy enough. I mean, whereas these things, there's some validity. I mean, I can understand his perspective, but you don't want to waste your best years outside the ring, because this is his money-making time right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. Let's move on, start shutting down the show, talking about the upcoming fights this weekend. Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's not much significant boxing happening this weekend. Only one significant fight as far as I'm concerned. The season finale of Friday Night Fights happening tomorrow. Austin Trout facing Daniel Dawson, Temecula, California. And I'll go to you on this one, Errol. Talk about the fight a little bit and talk about your assessment, your thoughts on Austin Trout coming off of 2 consecutive losses to Lara, and the previous fight before that, close decision loss to Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, well, he needs a win, man. He needs a win. He's still a big player. Like after that big win against Cotto, man, he was like the world opened up for him. But since then, he with Alvarez and everything's gone down, and obviously, you know, the one against Lara, everything's looked back. So he needs to climb himself up. He should win this fight, and convincingly. But he's not really a big punch. And to be honest with you, it's the Hunesian club right now, man. His style is the sort of style that you don't really want to get in the ring with. everybody thinks. So he's got a lot of things to go. Like, there's some good fights for him at 154. He can go fight against the Charlos, but he needs to get this win right now out of the way and try to go against one of the Charlos, and he can beat. Like, I think it'd be interesting. Well, what's that guy's name? Darry, what's his name again? The other guy, the WBO champion.
Andrade.
Yeah, that was a good fight for him. You know, that is a winnable fight for him. You know, it's a winnable fight for him, and maybe look for the rematch with Kilo. You know, because I thought he won that fight. You know, the rematch there's a fun fight, but he has to win this fight. If he don't win this fight to Friday tomorrow, then boys, later on today, I don't know what to say to him, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure you should hang it up, but it's like you become a gatekeeper. I don't know where you put him at that point, but he needs to win the fight. He was just on the verge of the world champion. Beat Cotto. Maybe there's a rematch with Cotto again. You know, maybe move up to 160. He can go change Cotto. It's a good idea, man. You know, there's options for him, but he needs to make the smart moves right now and capitalize on his thing because he's still a decent name. If you lose again now, it's not going to be good. I mean, he's lost against some good guys. So that's it.
Talk about what Errol just said in terms of how desperately he needs this win, Shawn. Because I agree with him. If he loses this bout, I ain't gonna say he should retire, but he's going to be bordering almost a gatekeeper status, as Errol said.
Yeah, no, I mean, this fight is obviously big. I'm not so familiar with the guy he's fighting, but I just sort of assumed it was one of those look good sort of bounce back fights after 2 losses. So I expect him to go out there and beat the guy, outbox him. I don't know if he'll get a stoppage because that's never his forte. But as long as he can go out, get the win, show that the 2 losses haven't affected him. Because, I mean, he fought 2 of the top guys from the division. One of them people think could go either way. The other one, it's a tough style matchup, 2 lefties facing each other, and he just was outgunned in that fight. But I mean, there's tons of good fights for him, and even though you can say he's a gatekeeper, he still has the name, so he still pushes those fights. And for a lot of those guys who want the money, like Andrade, the 2 twins, the Chicago Mexican guy, what's his face? I can't remember his name, but a Latin fighter from that division. You know, I mean, there's lots of good fights in there.
Molina, you talking about?
Yeah, Molina, Carlos Molina. So there's still like lots of good fights for him. I mean, he just needs to go out, get a good win here, and I mean, his future is still okay. And he's a big guy, so like you were mentioning, he can move up to 160. And at that division right now, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of depth. People always talk about it, like GGG should fight this guy and that guy, but who really is there? You know, there's not a lot. Now that Sergio left and Cotto is not really a 160 fighter, then outside of those 2 guys, I mean, who is there? There's like 3 other guys that are like well known.
One more fight that just came to my mind. The return of Mike Jones, who lost to, and the guy escapes my mind right quick, but the guy who Mike Jones got knocked out by the last time. Help me out here, guys. I can't remember his name right now, but Mike Jones is making his return to the ring after a year or so layoff, as he's going to be fighting a guy named Herrera in Atlantic City. Your thoughts on Mike Jones, and I'll go see you on this one, Errol. Do you think he will suffer any residual effects from his knockout loss, his last fight?
Mike Jones been out for a long time, man. He's been out for a hell of a long time, and I'm not too sure. Like he had an interview not too long ago, about half an hour ago on the boxing voice, and I'm not too sure where to place Mike Jones. He had everything for him.
Randall Bailey, that's his name. That's the guy who knocked him out his last fight back in over 2 years ago.
That's right, 2012. That was for the vacant belt, you know what I'm saying? And Randall Bailey knocked him out, and he was winning that fight, and then there's 1 punch landed on him, and that was it, man. It's like it took him a while to get his confidence back, and understandably why he was undefeated for a long time. He embarrassed, man, and everything. But now he's seen all the welterweight. He's 6 foot, by the way, man. I don't know why he's even staying at the welterweight division. Like, if in mind that he could have moved up, but I feel like, say, he see all the big players and he sees that's the most lucrative division. And to be honest, he was his thing. So he's gonna try and get this fight and try and step up. But who wants to fight Mike Jones right now? I mean, he's right now. I mean, why would you want to fight Mike Jones right now? It's you know what I'm saying. If he really wants to make a name for himself, fight Keith Thurman. Fight Keith Thurman, man. But you know already he can't do. You know he ain't ready for punches right now because you saw what Randy Bailey did. But that's the sort of fight that you could make a splash straight away. But you wouldn't think you're gonna win that fight because the moment he gets touched on his chin and go down. So I don't know what to do with Mike Jones. I don't know what to do with him, to be honest with you. I have no idea what he should do with himself. It's surprised he's been out the ring so long, but we'll see. We'll see.
Your thoughts on Mike Jones, Shawn? Look, this Herrera guy, he should beat easily, knock out. Going forward, what do you see from Mike Jones? Because listen, he's been out of the ring 2 years. As we said before, he lost badly. One punch variety, he got knocked cold by Bailey. What do you see from Mike Jones going forward, Shawn?
Not that he should be so sad that he got knocked out by Randall Bailey, who's a huge puncher. And I mean, if he was going to win, that was how he was going to win. Jones always had ability, but I mean, even before the Randall Bailey fight, he looked shaky. He looked like, he wasn't committed. His heart wasn't into it. So we will see. If I was his promoter, I would bring him along slowly. Give him fights like Herrera, and then maybe another tune-up fight just to build his confidence, and then maybe one of the, top 15 known sort of guys. Like there's that South African guy. I can't pronounce his name, but I mean he gets lots of hype. But when I've watched him fight, he hasn't really looked very impressive. And a few other guys of his quality that they have names. So getting their wins on his belts would look good prior to sort of stepping up to higher echelon fighters. Which I never really thought he looked like he was capable of winning. As far as talent and ability, he had it, but yeah, something I was missing with him.
And I think we're going to close the show down on that note. And I'll go to you since you're our guest, Errol. For those who want to hit you up and talk boxing, let the folks know where they can find you.
EJ Box. 1 minute. 1 minute, guys. For the new.
While Errol's getting his situation fixed, Shawn, let the folks know where they can find you to talk boxing.
Go on. Oh, okay. Google Plus, YouTube. I'm all over the internet talking about boxing. Wherever there's boxing, I'm checking it out. So I'm easy to find.
And Errol, let the folks know where they can find you if they want to talk boxing or other matters.
Yeah, you can catch me on YouTube channel, EJ Boxing Live. Yeah, you can catch me there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm going to take. I was planning to take this week off, but because of the Brook fight, I had to. But just to humble brag a little bit because I've been on Kell Brook, been talking about him ever since the Pound for Pound Boxing Report started, going back to us Breakcast days. So I had to brag a little bit about that. We're going to take next week off. When we come back, we're going to talk about a big boxing weekend in early September. We're going to do a preview of a big fight between Akira Yagashi and Ramon Gonzalez. And I see you over there, Errol. I see you talking about Akira Yagashi and Ramon Gonzalez. I'm proud of you, bro. You actually paying attention to the smaller guys.
Yeah, I got the smaller guys on lock, man. Like, you checking my channel, man. I got all of them because all of that middleweight, strawweight, like flyweight, all that. Like, that's my division right now. Because right now they're exciting fights down there, and to be honest with you, no one's really doing a good job promoting it. So yeah, man, we keep talking about it. And guys who know their boxing should know all division of boxing, and the flyweights definitely deserve that attention for real.
Yeah, that Yagashi Ramon Gonzalez fight is going to be happening in Tokyo on the undercard of that. Naoya Inoue, a guy who I believe I was one of the first to put boxing fans on. I will pat myself on the back for that. He's going to be fighting on that card as well. A sensational 20-year-old junior flyweight champion. Also, we're going to be previewing Adrian Broner versus Emmanuel Taylor. Showtime card on the same card. On that same card, Lucas Matisse is going to be fighting as well. Also, that weekend, the weekend of the 6th, Juan Diaz is going to be fighting Vladimir Klitschko. He's going to be defending his heavyweight belt against Pulev. Speaking of the flyweights, a very good bout at flyweight between Juan Francisco Estrada. He's going to be fighting Giovanni Segura. Chico Martinez and Carl Frampton. The Broner fight, the Matisse fight, the Diaz fight, the Klitschko title defense, the Estrada fight, and the Kiko Martinez Carl Frampton rematch. That's all going to be on one night, on the same night. So we're going to be doing a big preview of that. We're going to be talking about that bout, and we're going to be talking about Amat Rungroy, his mandatory defense of the IBF flyweight title against a guy, Puerto Rican named Arroyo. That's a very significant bout. Why? Because should Rungroy win, he's going to be fighting Zhu Shiming coming up later on this year. So we're going to be talking about all of those bouts. I want to thank my special guest, Arrow from EJ Boxing Live, for joining us. Shawn Newton from joining us again live from Taiwan. For EJ Boxing Live, for Shawn, I am Michael. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. You guys have a good evening. Good night.
Good night.
Peace.
And I'm going to try to make that show up